listen to my story of adventure, a tale about a sailor brave and bold. He sailed across the sea in search of treasure, and what he found was richer far than gold. Far across the sea he found a new world, then the old was never quite the same. Come listen to the story of a sailor, and Christopher Columbus was his name.
Well now, it's time to write tonight's entry in the ship's log. The date, October 12, 1492. The time, 2 o'clock in the morning. My ship, the Santa Maria. And my name is Christopher Columbus, Admiral. The place? I wish I were certain. It's been such a long journey since we left Spain. But I'm sure we're heading to the Indies. I'm sure this is the shortest way there. I'm certain of it. But my sailors? Good lads, but they're not certain at all. No, they're frightened. Frightened that we're sailing off the ends of the earth. Who is it?
It's Rodrigo, Signore.
Come in, Rodrigo. What is it?
The men are waiting for your decision, Admiral.
What decision?
Do we turn back, Admiral? Do we go home to Spain?
We still have time to make that decision, Rodrigo. We have the rest of today.
But the men are restless, Signore.
They are frightened, Rodrigo.
And with good reason. They say that you are sailing us all to our death. They say that there is no land to the west of us, that we have come so far from Spain that we will never be able to sail home again, unless we turn back now.
Nonsense, Rodrigo. The winds that have brought us this far will take us home again. I know it, Rodrigo.
No, Admiral. The winds are only blowing to the west, away from Spain. Admiral, the men have asked me to remind you...
Of what, Rodrigo?
Your promise. 3 days ago, you said that if we did not sight land within 3 days, you would turn back.
I said I'd decide then, Rodrigo.
Admiral, the men are ready to mutiny. They'll decide for us all if they do that. They'll take over the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria, and they'll kill you if they have to. They want to go back home.
I will decide when the time comes. Tell them that, Rodrigo.
All right, Admiral. I'll go back now. I'll tell them what you said, but they won't like it. There isn't much time left. When today is over, what then? What then?
Rodrigo asks a good question. What then? Yes, indeed. What then happens to months of sailing, years of planning? What then happens to my dreams of discovering a new route to the Indies, to the riches of Cathay and India? What happens to a lifetime of dreams? What a lifetime it's been. I can remember it. I can remember when I began dreaming of being a sailor. I can remember Italy. I can remember Genoa, where I grew up. Genoa, a great seaport on the Mediterranean. I can remember.
Spices, delicious spices.
Wool for sale, come by my wall. Wool for sale.
I can hear the sounds of Genoa now. My father was a maker of cloth, and when I was a small boy, I worked for him. When he had new cloth to be put on a ship and sold abroad, I was the one who took it down to the docks, where the great trading ships were anchored. And there, along the docks, is where all the traders and the ship's captains did their commerce. There were people from all over the world selling cotton from Egypt, wool from Damascus, grapes for wine from Greece, tin and lead from England and from India and Cathay. From away to the east, there was gold and pearls and jewels and spices and perfumes. It was a world of magic to me. Now and then, my father would send me to another seaport to sell his cloth. And I got to sail on the ships for the first time. I loved the feel of the ship on the ocean rolling under my feet, the smell of the sea, the sight of horizons stretching away into the distance, and the sailors. They worked hard, and after hours they gathered in the tavern for food and drink.
Wine! Bring me wine! Bring me my dinner! Fill my jug!
I worked there for a while, serving the guests, and that's where I began to hear of new lands to the east.
The Orient.
That's where the riches are. There's a fortune to be made if we can bring back the gold and spices from the Far East.
And what about the Turks? They won't let anybody else's ships through the Mediterranean Sea. That's the direct route to the east, right?
Right. But have you heard what the Portuguese say? They have another idea of how to get to the east. They say you can sail all the way south to the tip of Africa, then around it eastward, and then north again, and you wind up in the Indies.
There's a third way I've heard of.
What's that?
You don't sail east, you sail west.
West? That way is the Sea of Darkness. Are you crazy? Nobody's ever sailed that way.
But people say that
Sail west. The earth is flat. Everybody knows that. Anyone who sails west will fall off the edge. And you know what's below that? Beyond the edge, there are waves of fire. Sea monsters. Horrors nobody's ever seen. They say it's where the devil himself lives.
Well, there are some people who say the earth isn't flat.
Not flat.
Well, these people say the earth is round.
Round? Of course it's round. And I am the king of China, the earth round. Well, if you believe that.
If the world is round, pots and pans can walk. If the world is round, then my cow can talk. If the world's not flat, grass is always blue. And if you think that, there's plenty wrong with you. If the world is round, rivers never run. If the world is round, there's no summer sun. Robins sing no song, rain falls upside down, and the world's all wrong if the world is round.
Soon I learned to be a sailor, and by the time I was a young man, I'd worked on ships all over the Mediterranean Sea. I'd been to France, Africa, Greece, many countries close to Genoa. And by the time I was 25 years old, I was a sailor by trade. Then in the spring of 1476, I heard of ships sailing to England. To England, out into the great Western Ocean where I'd never been. Past Spain, past Portugal, past France. Into the ocean, to the west. I signed on, and a few weeks later, our ship set sail. Well, after a few days on the sea...
Ahoy below, mates! Strange ships off in the distance.
What ships are they?
Can't tell. They're coming closer. Warships. We're being attacked.
Warships they were. They bore down on us fast, with their guns booming.
Look out! They're attacking us. There's a cannonball coming straight at us. Oh, they've hit us. Look out, the mast is hit. It's falling.
Fire back! Fire back!
Oh, they've tore a hole below decks. We're starting to sink. Everybody, abandon ship! Abandon ship!
All of us jumped into the sea. A piece of wood floated by me, and I hung on to it. I started swimming with it. I swam all night, and when I got tired, I rested by hanging onto the wood. I swam more and more. Finally, I saw land. I made up onto the beach and collapsed. Later, some men found me and helped me, and they told me where I was. It was a new country to me. It was Portugal. It was a fine land, not very far from my native Italy, and it, too, had a big seaport named Lisbon. And that's where I decided to stay and live. I became a map maker and chart maker, and I also learned of a new science. They called it geography. But I also stayed a sailor, and I sailed to many places and talked with men from many lands.
Pepper and ginger and cinnamon and cloves. That's what we've brought back, Christopher, my lad. They fetch good money, too.
Where do they come from?
We bought them from the Arabians in North Africa.
But they don't grow spices there.
Right you are, lad. But the Arabians buy them from faraway places like Cathay and India and Cipango. Places in the Indies. I tell you, Christopher, we have to pay them Arabians a pretty penny for these spices. We could get them a lot cheaper if we could get straight to the Indies and buy them direct.
But why don't we?
Because we'd have to cross the Arabians' lands, and they won't let anyone do that.
Is that the only way to the Indies?
Yep. Well, no, the only other way is across deserts and mountains, and that's just too long, too expensive. Don't pay.
I think there's another way.
What's that?
I've been studying this new science. They call it geography. And I've been looking at the maps and charts. I have a theory, an idea, and I'm coming to believe it.
Oh, what is it?
It says that the Earth isn't flat, like people say.
Not flat.
No, it's round as a ball. I can get to the Indies by going west.
Christopher, you'd better keep those ideas to yourself. You'll be the biggest joke in Lisbon. The world round? And you'll get there by going west. Haven't you forgotten something?
What's that?
There's nothing to the west of here but the Western Ocean. And you know that nobody's ever sailed far away from here to the west. You know what they say about sailing off the edge of the world.
Yes, I know, but still.
If you believe it, Christopher, go and prove it.
That takes ships and money. I haven't any.
Now, what you need, Christopher, is a patron. Someone with lots of money who's willing to back you. Someone who'll outfit a ship for you. Someone like old Prince Henry was.
Prince Henry of Portugal?
Right. Now, there was a sailor and a navigator. He loved discovering things. Pity the man's not alive anymore. He'd have backed you.
But what about his grandson, the new king of Portugal, King John? I hear that he's caught his grandfather's love of the sea and the old man's love of discovery. Maybe he'd back me.
Worth a try, Christopher. Worth a try. But you think anyone would back you with a harebrained scheme like yours? The world is round. Well, lots of luck, Christopher. Lots of luck.
I sought an audience with King John.
Make way for His Royal Majesty King John.
So, Master Columbus, you think you can find a new route to the riches of the Indies?
Yes, Your Majesty. With your patronage, your support, I believe I can, but I need ships.
But your theory, my dear Columbus.
Your Majesty, I believe that the Earth is not flat as people think. And I believe that the Western Ocean that lies to the west of us is not endless, as some people also think.
Most people, my dear fellow, and my royal counselors think so too.
Your Majesty, I believe the Earth is round and that the Western Ocean is moderate in size. If we sail far enough west, we come back to where we started, with the Indies along the way.
Interesting, my dear fellow.
Think of it, Your Majesty. If we can get to the Indies that way, a shorter route than anyone has ever dreamed of, the spices and gold and jewels that are there could be brought back here to Portugal. This nation would be rich. Think of the glory for you, Your Majesty, if you were the one that proved the Earth is round.
Master Columbus, I appreciate all that. I must discuss it with my royal counselors once again. Good day, Master Columbus.
But, Your Majesty...
Good day.
Good day, Your Majesty.
Counselors, come here. You have heard my conversation with Master Columbus?
We have, Your Majesty. How do we know there's any merit to his scheme? It sounds wild to me.
Frankly, I'm tempted to support his idea.
Your Majesty, you would be wasting your money. We need proof that his ideas carry water.
I agree, Your Majesty. Let him furnish us with proof. Let him show us charts and maps, his documents. Let us see just how he intends to sail to the west.
Right. Then we'll send a ship out to test it. We'll see. We'll see.
They sent out ships, but storms came up around them that turned the sea into a raging foam. The sailors all were frightened of the danger and raced on back to Portugal and home.
Well, you see, King John, it's just as we said, nothing.
But your ships came back after only a few days.
It's the end of the world, Your Majesty, as we have said.
The end of the world. Nothing beyond but wild waves and darkness.
But I did so like his idea. The route to the Indies, the riches, the glory of it all.
Wild ideas, Your
Wild.
Majesty.
Give it up, Your Majesty.
Give it up.
Very well, then, I shall. How disappointing. We shall inform him that we are unable to finance his expedition. The riches are the glory. Dear me.
The Portuguese would not support Columbus, but there were other countries, that was plain. So Columbus took a little voyage and went to see the king and queen of Spain.
My dear Master Columbus, your plan sounds most interesting. But Spain has been through a war. Our treasury is in bad condition. I fear that we do not have the money to back you.
But, Your Highness, think of it.
We have, Master Columbus. We have. I understand the riches it would bring us, and I understand that if you find new lands to the west, the people there would come under the flag of Spain. Oh, yes, Master Columbus, it is very tempting to us. A short way to the Indies. Wonderful, wonderful. But the money. Perhaps my husband has an idea. Philip?
Isabella, I do have an idea. Let me whisper it to you.
A capital idea. Master Columbus, it is true that the treasury of Spain is very low. Very low.
Yes, Your Majesty.
But
Yes?
I do have personal wealth of my own. I have many jewels. I'll tell you what. I will back your expedition with my personal fortune. Yes, Master Columbus, you shall have your ships. What an adventure, Master Columbus. What a dream you have. Yes, you shall have your ships.
I will? I am most grateful, Your Majesty. We shall get the ships ready immediately. You called it an adventure. Yes, that it is. And a dream, yes. It's that, too. Then let the adventure begin, and let the dream come true. Now!
If the world is round, men may someday fly. If the world is round, ships may sail the sky. Strange as it may seem, new worlds may be found, and I'll find that dream if the world is round.
If the world is round, pots and pans can walk. If the world is round, then my cow can talk. If the world's not flat, grass is always blue. And if you think that, there's plenty wrong with you. If the world is round, rivers never run. If the world is round, there's no summer sun. Robins sing no song, rain falls upside down. And the world's all wrong if the world is round.
The year was 1492, and it was the month of May. Thanks to Queen Isabella's generosity, I was to have ships at my disposal to sail the Western Ocean in search of a new route to the Indies. The port of Palos was ordered to fit out ships for us. There were 3 in all, the Nina, the Pinta, and the Santa Maria. While they were being readied for voyage, there was another job to be done, and that was finding good men to sail with me. A friend named Martin Alonso Pinzon became captain of the Pinta, and his brother Vincente was captain of the Nina. Martin and I went to one place we'd be sure to find sailors on a spring evening in May, and that was the tavern near the docks. Men? Men? We're looking for crews for our ships.
You've come to the right place, mate. Sailing's our business. Show us a gangplank and step out of the way.
Where are we bound, mate?
To the Indies.
The Indies? Hey, mates, that's a voyage.
I hear there's gold there. Jewels, that's a good voyage.
What's your route to get there?
Yeah, how are you getting there? Through the Mediterranean Sea?
No, that's the eastern route.
Then down to the tip of Africa and round?
No, that isn't the way either.
Then what's left? You're gonna fit out the ships with wings? Wings.
No, we're going to sail west into the Western Ocean. We're going around the world.
West? Into the ocean?
That's death, senor.
Worse. That's the fires of the devil himself.
You say around the world, mister, I say that's off the world.
Wait! The Earth is round. I have maps and charts to show it.
Sure, Admiral. And I'm Queen Isabella.
You'll never get us on your ships.
Never.
Not in a million years.
Not until the moon turns blue.
Or the ocean freezes.
Or the world becomes round.
Queen Isabella counted on Columbus, and so he knew it wouldn't do to fail. He rounded up a crew of Spanish seamen, and finally there came the day to sail.
It was August 3rd, and the sun was just rising. Martin and Vincente were with me aboard the Santa Maria for final instructions. And Martin looked concerned.
Admiral,
Yes, Martin?
the men are not happy about this voyage. Not happy at all. Look, out on the dock.
Where?
You see that group?
Who are they?
It's the families of our sailors. They've come to see us off. And listen,
What's wrong?
they're already beginning to mourn. They believe we will never come back.
We will come back. We will sail to the west. We will reach the Indies. We will find the route we've dreamed of, that men have dreamed of for centuries. And I tell you, Martin,
Yes, Admiral?
the world will hear of what we do. Now let's get ready to sail. The wind is rising. Martin, Vincente, back to your own ships.
Aye, Admiral.
Ahoy, Santa Maria! Prepare to lift anchor.
Prepare to lift anchor.
Prepare to set sail.
Prepare to set sail.
And let our voyage begin. It wasn't long before trouble began. Rodrigo, one of the sailors I trusted most, came to me.
Admiral, there is a message from the Pinta.
And what is it, Rodrigo?
The rudder. It's broken.
So soon? We must keep going. We must sail clear of Europe.
Why, Admiral?
The crews are not happy about this voyage of ours. As long as there's a chance we can turn back to Spain. They may panic, maybe mutiny and force us back. Get a message to Martin. Tell him to keep going until we reach the Canary Islands.
Aye, Admiral.
While we were in the Canary Island, one day,
What's that?
The earth is coming apart down below.
Look! Fire and smoke coming out of that mountain over there.
The world is blowing up. I told him we're tampering with the devil coming so far. It's the devil's fire.
The devil's fires!
Devil's fire.
What is it, Admiral? It is the devil, isn't it?
men, don't be afraid.
It's the end of the world.
No, it's just a volcano. It's just part of nature. It won't hurt us. There's nothing to be afraid of.
The Pinta sailors fixed the broken rudder. Columbus put the sailors' fears to rest. The ships pulled anchor and kept on their journey, sailing ever onward to the west.
What is it? Oh, Rodrigo, come in.
Pardon my bursting in, Admiral, but it's important.
What's the matter?
Admiral, the men asked me to speak to you.
What about?
It's this voyage, Admiral. We're in strange waters.
Yes, we are.
Well, Admiral, it's like this. The men feel like we've taken leave of the world.
What do you mean, Rodrigo?
Well, Admiral, it's just that everything we know is way behind us back in Spain. Our country, our families, our friends, our whole lives. Ahead of us, it's all a mystery. We don't know where we're going. And there's another thing.
And what's that?
The men feel that if we ever did want to go back to Spain, well, we've come so far that we'd never make it home again.
Rodrigo, we will find the lands we seek. They'll be teeming with gold and precious stones and riches enough for every man aboard these ships. And look here, Rodrigo.
What's this, Admiral?
It's my log. It's a record of exactly how far we've come. Here, take a look.
Let me see. Oh, yes. Oh, that's not as far as I thought we'd come. You mean we're still this close to Spain?
Yes, Rodrigo.
Oh. Well, that doesn't seem so bad after all. That means we could make it back to Spain if we had to, doesn't it?
Yes, Rodrigo, that's exactly what it means.
Oh, well, I'll go and tell the men. They'll be mighty relieved, Admiral. Thank you, Admiral. Much obliged.
Columbus and his ships kept on their journey, sailing ever onward to the west.
Begging your pardon, Admiral, can I have another look at the log? The men are asking again how far we are from...
Certainly, Rodrigo. Here.
Still within good sailing distance of Spain. Like I said, Admiral, that'll make the men feel better. Funny, though. I've been a sailor all my life, and it sure feels like we've come farther.
Maybe it's because these are strange waters to us, Rodrigo.
I guess so, Admiral. Anyway, I'll go tell the men. Oh, here's Captain Morton. Just came over from the Pinta. Goodbye.
Martin, good to see you.
Admiral, I came over to talk to you. Oh, is that the log you just showed to Rodrigo?
Yes, it is.
Let me see it. Just as I thought.
Thought what, Martin?
Admiral, I have been a sailor too long for you to fool me. Besides, I've been keeping a log of my own aboard the Peep.
Yes, Martin?
Yes, Admiral. You're too good a sailor to make a mistake. Where is it?
Where's what?
Where's the real log?
What on earth can you mean? Well, Martin, you're too good a sailor, too. So I can't fool you. Yes, I keep 2 logs. I keep the real one locked up. It shows the distance we've really come, Martin. I can't show that to the men. They'd panic for sure. We are far from home. And if the men knew how far, they'd rise up and take over the ships. So I keep the second log just for them. You see? It says we've come less distance. That's the log I show, Rodrigo, so the men won't worry so much.
Columbus and his ships kept on their journey, sailing ever onward to the west.
Ha! Yes, indeed. Land, land, I see land!
But it wasn't land. It was a low-hanging cloud. And the sun and the water were playing tricks on us. And we'd all been fooled.
Admiral, the sailors are getting angry. We have not seen land for 3 weeks. The men are worried.
But, Rodrigo, there's no reason to worry. You can see by the log that we're still close enough to Spain to turn back.
I tell the men that, but they're still uneasy. And there's the wind.
The wind? What about it?
It always blows westward, away from Spain. It never blows eastward towards home. How will we ever be able to return?
Well, Rodrigo...
Admiral, the men want answers. They're having a meeting right now.
A meeting? What about?
They want you to turn the ships back and take us home.
Home? We'll go home when I say we go home. I am admiral of this expedition.
I don't mean disrespect, Admiral, but the men are meeting anyway, and they do want to go home. And Admiral, Captain Martin and Captain Vincente have both come aboard here. They're here now.
Christopher, I see the men are meeting.
Yes, they want me to turn our ships around and go back home.
Christopher, the men aboard our own ships are feeling the same way. Vincente and I have discussed it. I'm afraid that we agree with them. We must turn back.
You too.
Admiral, the men want you to come up on deck.
All right. I'm coming now. Martin, Vincente, come along.
Turn the ships back.
Back to Spain.
We want to go home. Home, right? Spain.
Men, listen to me.
No.
Listen. I tell you, we are almost at our destination.
Turn back.
We're sailing to the end of the world.
No, we're not. I've seen signs of land. We're out of the worst part of the ocean. The seas are calm. And the water, haven't you seen it? Pieces of bark from a tree, weeds, crabs. These are signs of land. And the sky. I saw a bird. And that must mean land is near.
Turn back. Turn
But
back, I
the
say.
Indies. There are glories awaiting there, awaiting all of us, for ourselves, for Spain. Think of it. We cannot turn back now.
No.
Wait. Just wait.
Men, give the Admiral a chance to talk.
I will make you a promise.
What is it?
I know we are near land. All my charts tell me so. We're within 3 days of land. Just 3 days.
No.
Wait.
Away from Spain.
Wait. Give me those 3 days. I promise you that if we don't sight land then, I'll turn back. I promise.
Today's the 9th. That means the 12th. If we don't sight land by the 12th, we go back home to Spain, right?
Right.
Men, I'll buy it. Let's give the Admiral the 3 days. What do you say?
All right. 3 days it is.
All right. 3 days.
Agreed. Martin? Vincente? 3 days. Agreed?
Agreed. October 12th. Or we turn back home.
October 10th. We sighted small birds, land birds, flying toward the southwest. I knew they must know that land was there, and food. I changed course of the ships to west-southwest. I could see fresh weeds in the water, the kind that grow only in rivers where there's fresh water. I saw the branch of a tree float by. I knew land was near, but the men were still frightened. October 11th. A fresh breeze taking us westward rapidly. More birds, more signs of land. The men? Some were seeing the same things. They were beginning to believe that perhaps after all land was near. Their spirits rose. But not all of the men felt as I did. That night, at sunset, we gathered at the bow of the Santa Maria. Men, Men, we have come this far together. If it is our fate to return home, then let us thank Providence that we've come this far together with favoring winds. And I will keep my promise that if we do not sight land by tomorrow night, the 12th of October, we will turn back eastward, home, to Spain.
Hooray!
The evening darkened. I asked the men to look sharp for signs of light or land in the distance, and whoever sighted land first was to sound a gun. Still, October 11th, night, 10 o'clock, 11 o'clock, midnight, and into the 12th. The beginning of the 12th, 1 o'clock in the morning. Then, this moment, as I remembering the dreams that have brought me this far, right now, it is as Rodrigo said to me a moment ago. What then? What happens now? What was that? Rodrigo, where are you? What was that sound?
I'm here, Admiral.
What was that sound?
Admiral, it was a gun from the Pinta.
A gun? From one of our ships. Could that mean?
Admiral, the Pinta has seen lights from the distance. It's land. Come see, it's land.
Where, Rodrigo?
Look, over there.
Yes, lights, land. I can see it. Perhaps, Rodrigo, perhaps it is the Indies. Perhaps there are riches there we've never dreamed of. Perhaps our dream has come true. And, Rodrigo...
Yes, Admiral.
Do you think... maybe the world is round after all? Maybe we've sailed around it. Just think what it means, Rodrigo. For us, for Spain. But even more, there will be men sailing here in years to come. Think of it. But right now, Rodrigo...
Yes, Admiral.
Hoist up those sails and head for land. There's a new world for us there. Head straight for it.